All right, good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about politics, a little bit about our role in politics, and once again, keeping in the game, because I'm telling you, when you see people that you support, that you're supporting your positions, and they suddenly do something that makes you go, what the fuck just happened? Like when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed freaking Nancy Pelosi and her no Pegosi nonsense. That's got to leave you gripping, right? That's got to leave you going, what the hell just happened? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to talk about some very important aspects to not just that one thing, but to the overall game, because this is a really big deal. And I think it really ends up keeping us down, and it keeps us from being effective over and over again. So let's just go ahead and get started. Obviously, as activists, we have a goal, and our goal is to get the things, the changes that we need to see done. And our goal is to educate people, to educate on the issues. When you go out there with signs, you're not going out there with signs because somehow or another you think somehow or another people are going to be afraid of you. You're going out there with signs to show people solidarity. You're going out there educating people that maybe didn't understand what was going on. Maybe this subject matter is not something that they're close to and they want to understand more. You're bringing national attention to it. You're bringing local attention to it. You're bringing attention to it. That's our job. That's what we do. That's what we're supposed to do in this democracy. We are supposed to bring about awareness as much as we can so that the overwhelming population understands the issues at play, so that it can apply the proper pressure it needs to apply to the political process and in the voting booth, etc. Democracy is a son of a bitch to be a part of, especially when someone's got their thumb on the scale, keeping it from being effective about us, keeping it from being representative about us, to keeping the proper people in the driver's seat as opposed to the donors, putting the people that they're supposed to represent in positions of power. But it's very easy, and I've seen it far too much. Far too many times people are ready to throw in the towel when they see someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez give you this speech, this explainer on why, in fact, she had no choice but to sign on to, Nancy Pelosi. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie. You can't force somebody to run that's not running, and the only person that is running right now, aside from other more right-wing Democratic candidates, is Nancy Pelosi, who is just an atrocity. Nancy Pelosi in and of herself costs Democrats a chance, if you want to go there, costs them a chance at many more gains than what they got now. There were many races that were decided very closely. I mean, very closely, that hinged on people like Nancy Pelosi saying, hey, I'll step away and I'll let new leadership come in. Nancy Pelosi is that toxic to the movement that she cost people opportunities, all for her own selfish interests. That said, I want to read something to you all. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. And I think that it's very important that we all accept what our role is here. And I'm struggling with this too. So I want to be real clear. This is not like some open and shut thing here. So let me pull this up for you to see. And hopefully it helps you make heads or tails of this. This right here is my Facebook wall, and I'm going to close these chat windows. Hopefully they're kind to me and they follow suit. But it says, this is an article, and it's in the Hill right here. It's called Pelosi and Dems Played Voters for Chumps Again. Any flim-flam artist can take a mark, but it takes a real genius to fool the same, right? So this article right here, I'm just going to read the snippet that I pulled from it. And it says, so why are Democrats again pushing her to be the face of the party leading to the 2020 election? Because these elections are about them, certainly not about the marks who vote, marks being us, we the voters. Pelosi will deliver committee positions, campaign money, and other benefits that some new leadership is unlikely to guarantee. She has spent months directing millions towards these members. Voters simply give them votes. Pelosi gives them cold, hard cash and other perks. I think that's really important to understand that that's the money in politics right there, my friends. Given polls showing Pelosi at less than 40% popularity, she and the Democratic establishment are redefining the election, and not for the first time. Leading up to the 2016 election, every poll showed voters were looking for non-establishment candidates, and that Hillary Clinton remained one of the least popular establishment candidates ever to run for presidency. Yet, Democratic leaders rigged the primaries for Clinton and lost to the most unpopular Republican presidential candidate ever. Given Pelosi's support for Clinton and the huge losses in the prior election when Pelosi was Speaker, many again called for her to step aside. However, Pelosi declared that voters really did not want change and that she would remain as the party's face. It was that easy. After the most anti-establishment election in U.S. history, Pelosi declared that voters wanted her and the establishment to stay in power. Now, Pelosi and Democratic leaders are saying that polls are showing overwhelming opposition to her uniformly are wrong. She told CNN that she has a broad base of support in the country, and voters want her as Speaker because she's a woman. She described her opposition as being sexist, a betrayal of voters who wanted a pink wave. When asked about a letter with 17 members pledging to oppose her, Pelosi told, sorry, my messenger popped up. Pelosi told reporters, you'd have to ask those people what their motivation is. I think of the 17, it's most like 14 men who are on that letter. She added that angry misogyny involved in it. It's their problem, not mine. That's not Trump, but fellow Democrats who Pelosi charges as being misogynistic. Identity politics, it seems, is like God's Saturn. It devours its young. Now, folks, I want you to hear that because as I finish this, it's real easy to let that become the narrative of everything that we do. It's that narrative that drives our emotional status. I have found myself, and folks, I pride myself on not getting swept away by this bullshit, but I have found myself getting morose and going, oh, wow, I feel this downness. But then I remember politics is a very different beast than activism. And it's going to require a major push by real committed activists to overcome these things. Democracy is hard. It is real effing hard. And the cost of us not doing this, the cost of us allowing these political games in the party and these political games between the Republicans and the Democrats to sideline us in any way. For every Cheeto-leany post that you see out there, for every one of these nonstop Trump hate posts, it's another day that activists lose while we're trying to advance a New Deal, while we're trying to advance a Green New Deal, while we're trying to advance a unification of the left, while we're trying to do things that are greater than just being, mouthpieces, right? Once again, we have made a choice, and we have to continue with that choice. And that choice is to, in fact, fight for a New Deal. Now, if you're not interested in a New Deal, which I would find shocking, If that's not something that you're interested in, then by all means, talk about Trump's come over and talk about all the other shit. But if you understand what's at stake here, and what's at stake is we haven't done our homework. We haven't done nearly the homework we need to carry on from that Sunrise Movement protest in Pelosi's office. We can't let oh, well, they stopped. Oh, shit. I guess we got to stop now. No, it doesn't. It can't work that way. It has to work differently. It has to work differently. I'm going to add something to this broadcast here real quickly. This right here is a post that we oftentimes show you all. And as you can see, right around the middle of this thing, 1972-ish, the wealthy started really catapulting up in terms of wealth inequality in this country. The rest of us right down here, we just kept flatlining straight on through. And it just keeps on going like that, doesn't it? These are real life issues right here, right there in your face. You can't deny that. That is facts. That is numbers. That is reality. And it doesn't change whether Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorses Pelosi for political reasons. It doesn't matter whether she does that for some other bullshit reason. It doesn't matter whether she tries to tell you pink is purple and green is gray. It doesn't matter. Those numbers right there are real. And those numbers right there are what we're fighting about. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing here, too. And this is very important. This right here is from Dr. Kelton today. And Dr. Kelton talks about how we have to decouple the act of spending from the act of taxation in order to get anything done. Now, I'm telling you this because it's important that you understand what you're fighting for and how to fight for it. If we allow these political games to knock us off our game, if we allow these political theatrics and the bullshit nonsense from Trump's tweets, you name it, to derail us, we will allow really bad shit to slip by us, and we'll have absolutely no chance at ever fixing this. This is no joke. This is a David Sirota tweet right here that I'm about to put up. And I think this is really instructive, right? I think this is really, really important. So you got David Sirota saying climate change. I destroyed Puerto Rico. Dems. We'll have a climate committee, but not more. Climate change. I'm incinerating California. Dems. Stop pushing Dems to fight the oil and gas industry. Climate change. I'm making the world into Mad Max. Dems, let's raise oil, gas, cash. Okay. This right here is the stuff that we're dealing with. Okay. And so politically speaking, it's quite obvious that we're up against something that's really grotesque. But have you sat there and talked to a Democrat? And I'm not talking about one of the elected politicians, folks. That's the easy one. That's the easy one. I'm talking about, have you ever talked to just a rank and file Democrat that can't fancy anything other than just saying vote blue? This is a situation that is so deeply entrenched. It's almost as if they can flip a switch on and if you've seen Wreck-It Ralph, you see the bugs go into the light. And there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it other than taking this knowledge and passing it on to people one-on-one, having one-on-one conversations. Now, I sat there today. No, sorry, I lied. Correcting that lie. Sat there on Thanksgiving with my in-laws, so to speak, my Melanie's ex-in-laws were over at the house. I mean, they're really nice people. But she's a Democrat. And so normally she thinks that we're going to be all simpatico, which is fine. I mean, you know, whatever. But we were talking about this stuff, and I could tell she didn't know what to say when I told her. I said, I'm not here to support Democrats. I'm not here to fight them either. I'm here to fight for these causes. Now, if they stand in the way, guess who I'm going to fight? I'm going to fight them. My only allegiance is to my issues. My allegiance is not to a party. My allegiance is not to a candidate. I don't have any messiahs. When they're right, they're right. When they're wrong, they're wrong. But I also am not looking at political theater as if it's God-breathed truth. If you look at political theater as if this is God-breathed truth, that you're just sitting there eating manna from heaven as these politicians speak their words. If you haven't learned by now that there is a game afoot, and it is truly chess, even if it's stupid chess, even if it's fraudulent chess, even if it's just circus and bread or bread and circus or whatever the hell they say. If you haven't figured out that it's not just canonical truth and that you have to actually read between the lines or ignore it altogether, as I typically do 9/10 of the time, then you're probably in a rough spot. You're going to have a tough time because you're going to be looking for truth in all the wrong places. I guarantee you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came out in tweet after tweet after tweet, and I believe she's a fairly straight shooter. And she said point blank, right, wrong, or indifferent. Look, of the few people that are running for House Speaker that are actually willing to do the job, not people you might think would be a great choice. People are like, say, what about Nina Turner? Nina Turner's not even elected to office. She's over there running our revolution right now. Sorry, she's not available. What about this person or that person? They were coming up with all those names. They're not interested. They're not available. So then you look, and sure, they positioned this as such because they were going to get the person they wanted. They didn't care what we wanted. So that means that you've got to treat them like the persons that you're fighting for, fighting against. You cannot just accept what they say and just be okay with it. You're fighting for a cause. That doesn't mean you eat your own. Don't get wrapped up in the political theater. Folks, we spend more time fighting back and forth about the political theater, which is just a complete and utter life suck. It's a waste of time. It's meant to keep you sedated. It's meant to keep you off track. But if you really are serious and you look at this stuff and you say to yourself, I can't lose sight of what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for a New Deal, goddammit. I'm not fighting for Trump's tweets. I'm fighting for a new fucking deal. Chances are you're going to get a new deal, but they're banking, and they're banking on you forgetting that. They're banking on you forgetting that. And there's going to be the people from the parties that are all about the parties. They're going to be put into action to help you forget about that by beating you over the head, telling you, what do you want, Trump, or whatever else it is that they do. But your job is to stay focused on the cause. Tune out the noise. You got to tune out the noise. Let me look at this here real quick. Yeah, maintain me. So we talk about a federal job guarantee as a really important thing. Gained a lot of popularity. Stephanie Kelton went to Australia, talked about it, etc. There's a group down there called Get Up. Now, I want to say something right now. This is a message to my friends in Australia, and you know who you are. There are many. The job guarantee and MMT did not originate in the United States in terms of it just being like a U.S. phenomenon. We didn't come to Australia and teach MMT. MMT has a great leader of its own in Australia, several of them, starting with the great Bill Mitchell. And Bill Mitchell has been fighting for the job guarantee for longer than many of you have been alive. And I want to just tip my hat to Bill Mitchell, who oftentimes gets slighted even in his own country. That's not to take anything away from the Americans that went down there, the American contingent that went down there, because we do have some good momentum here in the States, and it's good to see that momentum carrying to Australia and Stephanie Kelton and others. The Levy Institute. There are many, many, many folks, even people that are just outside of MMT, like Sandy Darity and Derek Hamilton and Mark Paul and others. But I want to be clear that Australia didn't need saving by Americans. They didn't need American exceptionalism to ride in on a white horse and save the day. Get up. You have Bill Mitchell right there in your own backyard. Leverage that man. That man deserves your attention. If you don't hear me again. Get up. You have Bill Mitchell in your backyard. It's time to put him to use. So, with that said, this movement that we're talking about is global. We have a ton of much energy all around the world going toward fighting climate change, going towards fighting for a New Deal in different countries where they already have a lot of the services we're fighting for. We've got to help them from losing those benefits as we export American exceptionalism to them, and neoliberalism whittles away at their core infrastructure. And the only way we're going to do that is to stay focused and to stop focusing on the political gamesmanship. Now, as you are well aware, every single time we get excited about something silly happens, right? I mean, seriously, something really ridiculously silly happens. And we tend to get caught up in these things. And it just doesn't seem to ever go away because these narratives are so appealing, so titillating to the mouth. They spice you on the lips. We want to keep talking about them for whatever reason. But your ability to keep the noise out is going to be the key driver, the key factor in your success long-term, because you will not get bogged down in the distracting, shiny lures that pull you this way and that are meant to tire you out, that are meant to get you to feel hopeless, that are meant to take away your energy and take away the momentum of the changes we are fighting for. Now, sadly, it's an attrition game. Many will fall prey for this. It's going to be a band of hardy individuals that do not lose focus. You have got to be a part of that, or we will lose focus. That's the deal. You have got to remain committed to staying on point. Now, somebody came to me the other day and said how important it was that we focus on Trump impeachment hearings. I'm like, well, can you explain to me why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like the man, so it's not the issue, but I want to know why that's so important. He couldn't really answer it for me. It was just, Democrats. I was like, well, the Democrats had a chance. Right now, they just took back the House, but their answer was to go back to the establishment. So tell me again why we want to impeach Trump. What is it? Do we want to be able to give Hillary another shot? What exactly is your game plan here, fellas, ladies? You're looking for another shot, a third time's a charm, fourth time's a charm with Hillary? What exactly is the game here? It doesn't sound like a New Deal to me. What it sounds like is more bullshit political games. So what about this impeachment is supposed to help us get a New Deal? First things first, what you end up doing is stirring up the hornet's nest, further distracting people. That's why I despise the whole end the Fed bullshit, right? It's not because the Fed is good or bad. It's because it's mere distraction. Congress is the one that controls the Fed in terms of, hey, we want to spend money on this program. We pass this program. The Fed doesn't go, I'm sorry, we're not spending on that program. They don't do it. They go, oh, okay, boss. That's it. So why would I allow someone to take my eyes off the prize? Why would I allow someone with lesser understanding divert my eyes from the prize? I'm not going to. It's not going to happen. Don't you let someone divert your eyes from the prize either. Everybody gets these pet ideas. They want to sweep you this way, sweep you that way. You're not getting what you want if you don't stay focused. Now, you invert this pyramid. There's all these ideas, all these concerns way up here. It's like this broad swath of nonsense, so much soup there that you can't even find your way through it. There's zero visibility. But as you get down to the tip of the upside down pyramid and you start seeing the real core issues, and they are core and they're down here, you start realizing that it all comes down to the question of how are you going to pay for it? They've already got this shit waiting for them, friends. That's why Nancy Pelosi is standing by PAYGO. It is the built-in silver bullet for her to say, can't do it. And because we haven't done our job as activists to inform the population and inform the electorate that a sovereign currency issuing nation can't go broke. They still believe it. I'm telling you right now, they still believe it, and they believe it so much that the establishment doesn't have to do shit to convince them. Hell, they'll pull the trigger on us all because they just don't know any better. So fighting the establishment, fighting these, it's irrelevant. Which brings me to the next big point. There's an article in Vox the other day talking about the 17 individuals, these conservative, or as Nancy Pelosi calls them, misogynists, that are standing in the way of her being speaker, that are saying they are willing to fight to knock it down. You know, they are right wing. They are the true boll weevils, you know, whatever, crats, corporate Democrats. That notwithstanding, moveon.org, the Daily Kos, all have said point blank that if anyone stands in the way of Pelosi being made speaker, they will personally go after primarying them. Sounds a lot like Grover Norquist, doesn't it? Now, normally you'd say that's great. Go after corporate Dems. But why aren't they taking their time with all the power of moveon.org, with all the viewers or readers of Daily Kos? Why are they not taking their efforts and putting it towards getting a progressive Speaker of the House, one that hasn't signed on to PAYGO? I can answer that for you real fast. There were only two, folks, count it, two congressional candidates or actual representatives who stood up and said no to PAYGO. One was Ro Khanna, and the other one was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Two Justice Dems, both of which whom I know, even if they're not overtly blathering on. I know AOC is to some degree. And I know Ro Khanna knows this stuff. I've actually spoken to him personally face to face, even though he puts some maddening tweets out there. But those two understand MMT, and those two understand sovereign currency, and those two understand that we can't go broke. And they both stood up against Pelosi's pay-go. Now, mind you, two people, that's it. Two. They have no prayer in hell of winning that war. First of all, Alexandria is not even in there yet. She hasn't even started yet. She's got no clout in Congress whatsoever yet. She's got some momentum. She's got some good activists. But in the spheres of power, where they don't really listen to that stuff nearly as well, she's just a rookie coming in the door. They'll eat her up and chew her up and spit her out, and that's exactly what they intend to do. So I want you to be real clear while you're focusing on how disappointed you are in the process. Oh my God, it's so rigged. And oh my God, she's already sold out. And oh my God, she's a fake. She's a fraud. She's this, she's that. Divert your eyes from the theater. I mean, I'm going to steal a great Owen Wilson line from Wedding Crashers. Grow up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. You know, we're not going to be pimps from Oakland. What we're going to do is we're going to be activists fighting for a new deal. And we're going to look for like-minded people, and we're going to bond with them. And we're going to work together to make this thing happen. And we're going to teach those that don't understand economics, modern monetary theory, so that they don't keep failing us as well. That's what we're going to do. It's what we have to do. And we're going to speak truth to power whenever we can, but we're not going to get down when politicians do political things. At the end of the day, what could AOC have actually done? A protest vote? Maybe. It really doesn't much matter in the grand scheme of things. It would have been a symbolic gesture at most, and if that's the kind of victories you're looking for, that's more Trumpisms to me. That's more Trump's got a bad comb over to me. I want to see success. And whatever it takes right now to succeed, we have to do it. It's on us. We can't control everything, but we can control what we do and what we get diverted with. So I'm asking each one of you to consider this when you're going through these motions. If you're going to be compelled to follow the political theater, don't let it take you off your game. Continue to fight for teaching people economics. Continue to fight for educating people on the possibilities and the realistic possibilities of a new deal. I've talked to you about the 12-year window for climate change. It's legit. It's there. It's real. We've got real shit ahead of us. Don't allow yourself to get wrapped around the axle. You've got to fight for truth. You got to stay true north. Otherwise, these people will jerk you all over the place. And as sympathetic as I want to be, I'll tell you straight up, you only have yourself to blame. I almost don't even want to read the newspaper because I'm afraid that I'll somehow or another get sucked back in to the constant wishy-washy chasing of headlines that serves really no value. And to put a real big exclamation point on what I'm talking about, remember the mass shooting in Vegas that occurred? This thing was the biggest thing under the sun for about 10 minutes. Not only did no legislation come from it, but you haven't heard shit about it at all since. Is it important? I would like to believe so. I'd like to believe that many people shot and killed in broad daylight like that in wide open area, it would carry years and years of energy with it, but it didn't. It just died on the vine. It's not even being talked about. You don't even hear it raised. People get distracted very easily in this country. And a lot of it has to do with the political theater, the bread and circuses we're thrown at with this political game that they play. I'm here to tell you it's a losing proposition. MoveOn.org, Daily Kos, putting all their chips on Pelosi. Do I need to say more? That's real. There are people, those are people that mobilize mass quantities of people at once, huge databases, large donor lists, you name it, that are mobilizing people to support neoliberalism. Why didn't they work hard, tooth and nail, just in case somebody runs for House, just in case they won the House? Why didn't they already have a progressive in waiting? Why wasn't Tulsi being groomed? Why wasn't someone else being groomed? Why in the world will we be grooming Nancy Pelosi? Think about this, friends. And I'm not even talking about what the Democratic Party does. You expect them to do this stupid shit. But MoveOn.org, did they just reveal their true colors if you didn't already know it? Daily Kos, if you didn't already know it? Think about it. Think about it. That's real stuff right there, my friends. That's real stuff. Anyway, my friends, I am going to let you go for the evening, but I want you to remember, this is a long slog. This is not for the faint of heart, but yet we need every one of you. So keep focused, stay in the game, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. I'm out.